Let's get started here. Okay, Representative Pettersen, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Yes, thanks for having me.
It's great to meet you. First and foremost, I want to talk about the government shutdown. I think that's top of mind for everybody right now. The federal government is currently shut down. It has been for more than 2 weeks. Trump and Republicans need at least 7 Democratic votes to pass their spending bill and reopen the government. As of now, it doesn't seem like Republicans are negotiating with Democrats or coming to the table at all to earn these votes. Can you talk to us about what Democrats are asking for in exchange for their votes right now?
Well, as you've highlighted already, they need 7 Democratic votes, and we're going off of the funding levels for the previous year. Democrats actually bailed out Republicans 6 months ago.
Yes.
You remember when people were so upset that the Senate supported moving forward with funding the government.
That's right.
So they gave them another 6 months. We're here again because they have no business governing this country. They are incapable, and more chaos and dysfunction. So they didn't have a plan. They brought a bill to kick the can down the road 7 weeks without working with Democrats that they need to actually get this passed in the Senate. So learning the same lesson over and over again. And this is my 3rd year in Congress, and to watch the dysfunction in the House, the Republican House leadership is, the same lesson over and over and over is that you actually have to work with us. We might not be in the majority, but our government was created to have to work together, the separation of powers, and that we have to compromise. And that's what governing looks like. So once again, they're here kicking the can down the road 7 weeks. And the reason why Democrats aren't willing to come to the table is because we don't have a day, let alone 7 weeks to wait. We are facing a healthcare crisis now. People are going to be receiving their health insurance premium increases, the latest November 1st, but even before then, if we don't extend these tax credits. And these are to ensure that people in Colorado who can't afford health insurance are actually able to get health insurance through the ACA. This helps all of us with reducing costs, because when you have, it's estimated that 110,000 Coloradans will lose healthcare coverage because they won't be able to afford it if these tax credits aren't extended.
That's right. And am I correct in saying that a lot of these subsidies and tax credits that Trump is trying to take away are going to harm his own voters? Lots of people in rural areas, these are red areas, rural areas, Trump voting counties that are going to be impacted the most.
Yeah, the irony is throughout the country, it's the reddest states that will be impacted and the reddest counties here in Colorado. Yeah. When you look at rural Colorado, with some of the highest increases, in my district, it's 283% is the highest increase. That's estimated in Custer County, and that is the reddest part of my district. And and this is the beginning of the looming healthcare crisis. It's not just these health insurance rates that are going to be hitting Americans right around the corner in just a couple of weeks, but it also begins the cascading impact of what they just passed with their big ugly bill and the trillion.
I like that rebrand on that.
Yeah, the $1 trillion that they cut from Medicaid, and that's going to be hitting us after the midterm elections. And there's a reason why they waited till after the midterm elections to implement this. This is not going to be popular, and it will hit the reddest parts of this country the hardest.
That's right. It's interesting to watch Republicans attack their own voters like this. Republicans kind of treat the government like a hostage that Democrats have to stop them from shooting. Tell me, why is healthcare the fight that Democrats have chosen here? Donald Trump is breaking the law every single day. He's sending troops into American cities. He's allowing masked ICE agents to kidnap people from their homes in the middle of the night. This administration is doing a lot of things that, frankly, I don't think Democrats want to fund. Why is healthcare the right fight for Democrats to be taking on right now?
That's a great question. I think that it's all of these things that are front and center for us.
Yeah.
But we're coming to the table with real impacts, the urgent crisis that is happening right now around healthcare costs and rising costs across the board. We know that Trump's tariff wars are hitting Americans, that small businesses can't plan. They have huge bills that were unexpected, and they're not too many small businesses are going to shutter through this. So rising costs, it is families who are already struggling to put a roof over their head and afford groceries, let alone have a premium for health insurance. It's going to increase threefold. Healthcare was the number one target for their bill. They dismantled many other pieces, but this was their number one target with the big ugly bill. And when you think about it's devastating to see people here in my district who are going to be impacted the most, the families who have kids with disabilities who will no longer have the care that they need, the kids that are able to get cancer treatment because of what we've provided as a country, which are still limited safety nets. All this is right now about healthcare. We're fighting against all of those other things. And it's a terrifying time when you think about masked agents showing up, kidnapping and disappearing people, the unlawful use of ICE, weaponization of our military against U.S. citizens and going into U.S. cities. So this is the lawlessness. It seems to have no bounds.
Yeah, definitely. I think people are really starved for a real fierce opposition to this administration. So I'm really glad that Democrats have not given up these votes for nothing. I'm glad to see Democrats fighting, and I think this is worth shutting the government down for. I hope Democrats keep fighting back because this administration, like you said, is lawless. Trump just feels like a chaos agent at this point. So speaking of that, Donald Trump has been sending federal troops into American cities, DC, LA, Chicago, Portland. He keeps saying that these cities are war zones, which is obviously a blatant lie. Is there anything that Congress can do to push back on these crazy authoritarian moves by the Trump administration?
I mean, I think that unfortunately he's defied Supreme Court orders. He's defied, I don't even know how many court orders at this point. Our judicial system is one of the backstops that we have left right now. But it has also failed in many ways to actually hold him to account. I think that it's really the American people standing up. It's not just your members of Congress and senators and elected officials. It's all of us showing up. And we have, a rally.
The No Kings protest on Saturday.
We have the protest this weekend across the country. And we need to see huge uprising across the United States. And how we're going to do that, though, is make sure that people actually understand what's happening and why they should care. Because sometimes I feel like we're in the slow boiling water that you want people to be aware of before it's too late.
Yeah, we are all the slow boiling frogs. I'm just trying to imagine a world where Joe Biden sends federal troops into Texas against the will of Greg Abbott. No. The reaction from Republicans would be insane, which, by the way, they'd be right to be upset. They would throw a fit, and we should throw a fit as well. I'll see you at the No Kings protest on Saturday. Let's talk about an issue that's a little more personal to you. I'm really interested in your push to allow parents in Congress to vote remotely. I think it's a very pro-woman proposal. The burden of childcare so frequently falls on the shoulders of women. We've seen return to office mandates push a lot of women out of the workforce. I think that women's workforce participation has actually gone down this year for the first time in years because they no longer have the flexibility of remote work. The requirement to work in person disproportionately impacts women. I think I support your proposal, but I just want to ask, are there any downsides to this? Is there any aspect of being in Congress that maybe should be an in-person job?
Yes, absolutely. The most important thing that brings us together and gets us through really tough times is those personal relationships. I was in the Colorado legislature for 10 years, and it was really getting to know my colleagues across the aisle, their families, their life story, what inspires them, why they might think differently than me. It was a very important process of us continuing to sit at the table through some of the hardest negotiations and being willing to find that compromise and walk that line. And it's so building those relationships is vital to our job. It's, I think, what we're missing in Congress because we can get into background, but Newt Gingrich, he said everyone needs to go home to their districts. And what he did was consolidate power with leadership. And when you're sending everyone home and they're not seeing each other at the grocery store and their kids at the ball game and, building those relationships, having dinner together, when we're all immediately leaving and going to the district, we really fail to build those relationships. And the system, while you're there, is set up so that you're put in your corners and you're ready to fight the other. So there's a lot of systemic things we need to change there.
Sure.
So absolutely, we should be in person. But there are times when we should make sure that our vote can still be counted, that our constituents are represented if we're unable to be there for medical reasons. And I was in a situation where, I was the 13th voting member in history to give birth while serving in Congress, which is just crazy. That's how rare it is. Yeah. And, so when I was close to my due date, I couldn't fly because it's dangerous. They won't let you board a plane. So I couldn't be there to vote. Then I gave birth and you're in recovery and you have a newborn. So I wasn't able to fly there. And we had a resolution to say, in these circumstances, these limited circumstances, we should still be able to vote and represent our constituents. And we had bipartisan support, and the speaker went to unbelievable lengths to kill it.
That is absolutely insane. It's obvious that it will support mothers. It will allow for more women to even join Congress and be a part of the political system. And it allows for, like you said, the people you're representing to continue to be represented when you're pregnant or have just given birth. And I'm thinking about all the times in history where it did not benefit us that there is no remote voting. I'm thinking about Ted Kennedy being in the hospital during the Obamacare fight. Would have really benefited Democrats if he could have voted from the hospital, but there's also been times in history where maybe it would have benefited Republicans. But I think that the net result is more representation and more representation for women in Congress.
Yeah, and we actually make Congress more accessible to regular people and the people who are oftentimes not represented. We get people in Congress, understand the struggles that people are facing now.
Yeah.
Your priorities change, and we can actually work on addressing the issues that are facing families. And it's life experiences that we absolutely need in Congress. We need to make Congress a place where young women and families can serve.
Absolutely. Like, you want families in Congress. You want women who have had kids and have that experience in Congress. I completely agree. Thank you for focusing on it. I think it's a super worthy cause.
In the scheme of everything else, it's a small piece, but when we change systems and when we change representation, we can have exponential opportunities to make change.
Yeah, absolutely. In the meantime, I think you should keep bringing your baby everywhere you go. I was hoping he'd be here today because
I know.
He's the cutest kid I'd ever seen.
He's the sweetest little guy. I can't believe how crazy the right goes over this. I'm just being a mom, and I work all the time. So he finally has access to childcare. He was on a wait list since I found out I was pregnant. So it was it was over 13 months. And so he was 6 months old when he was finally able to have access to childcare. And I'm not even in a childcare desert. And we're able to figure out how to pay for it, where so many families aren't able to do that. He went with me to everything I did. He took 24 flights before he was 6 months old.
World traveler.
Yeah, he had numerous nights where we slept at the Capitol for overnight votes. I mean,
what a sweetheart.
The life that he's had his first 6 months.
He's like very experienced.
Yeah, they called him member 436. So I'm going to get a onesie and have everybody sign it.
That is so funny.
But yeah, Sam had an adventurous first 6 months. Now, he's in daycare, but I also work a lot of nights and a lot of weekends. My family is involved in my life, and they come with me to a lot of things because I want to be a present mother. And I don't have some full-time nanny at home or something.
No.
My husband takes on plenty as a partner in this work that I do.
I'm sure he has a job as well.
But anytime you want Sam to join us, you just let me know.
I know. I want him right here on my lap.
He's the happiest little guy.
Well, Representative Pettersen, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. It's been great to speak to you today.
Yes, thank you so much for the conversation.
Of course, anytime. And I'll be interviewing Sam for our next conversation.
Can't wait.